This is the Mike Broomhead Show. Welcome. I appreciate you spending a part of your morning with us, as we were going to sit down and talk with Senator McCain about his recovery, about his time at Mayo, about the treatment that he's receiving, and so we are going to have a conversation with him in just a moment. So, Senator McCain has been, as you know, undergoing treatment, but the big news is he's gone back to Washington, and he's continuing. As a matter of fact, he's walking in right now. Good to see you, Senator.
How are you, Mike?
Doing well. Have a seat. We are. I know. I saw that. It's nice to meet a celebrity. So come on and have a seat, Senator. We are on the air.
Okay.
And we were just saying, first of all, how are you?
Fine. Out at getting treatment and feeling good and having to eat and drink everything I hate. Everything you would hate to eat or drink, I have to eat or drink.
Really?
Yeah. All of it. If the first criteria is...
there's a segment of our listeners that are going to be happy to hear that. You know that, right?
First of all, it has to taste bad.
Okay.
And second of all, it has to be healthy, neither of which has been my priorities in my life.
Okay. Well, I have a sound bite. If you want to put the headphones on, I have a sound bite I want to hear, because one of the things I appreciate is I know that you and I have gotten along for a long time, but you mentioning me from the Senate floor was very kind of you. Was this for us?
Stop listening to the bombastic loudmouths on the radio and television and the internet. To hell with them.
Was that me specifically?
I should have mentioned your name specifically. There on the floor of the Senate. You know what?
So
what was Mo Udall? You say the politician's prayers, may the words I utter today be tender and sweet, because tomorrow I may have to eat them.
Correct. So that was, I heard that, and I got about 5 text messages from people asking if you were talking about me specifically. How are you doing? How's treatment going? How are you feeling?
Fine. It's a tough challenge, I mean, of course. And, but I'm getting the best care you could possibly have. I'm eating well. I'm feeling fine, getting plenty of exercise. I expect Congress to go out here pretty soon, and I'll be ready to go back to work in September.
You look terrific. I mean, you do look great.
Thanks. Part of it is this healthy diet I've been on. I hate it. So, could I mention also I brought my daughter Megan with me, who is a star in her own right, although she's often wrong, by the way. She's very often wrong. But
well, which side of the family does she get that from?
It must be her mother.
Well, and I appreciate Megan is the one that's kept me updated on your progress and everything. So I really do thank you for doing that. And I was surprised myself at how moved I was when I got the news, like everybody else did. It kind of struck me emotionally, and it's good to see you, and I'm surprised, but you're back to work. I mean, you're going to work every day, even though you're back in Arizona.
Sure. Oh, yeah, of course. I'm doing the things we do during recess, having meetings, appointments. We'll be traveling around more around the state. Look, the best thing whenever you're faced with a challenge like this is stay busy. It's good for you. It's good for your health. And the doctors have told me that because of my good physical shape, because of staying busy and all that it's very tough. But look, you just got to go on and do your job. And I'm able to do my job. And I must say, and if you don't mind if I say this, thank you for all of the cards and letters and calls. It's been very deeply moving to me, even those who have said, I hope you die, but you're still a good guy.
That's got to be, it's funny you laugh about those things. But it's got to be tough for your family to hear negative things like that. I mean, seriously, negative things.
The overwhelming is people. I was just mentioning to Megan, I was walking into our place, and a young Hispanic woman came up to me and put her arms around me and started crying. I mean, it's just so. Anyway, we just keep going. I've had a full and wonderful life, and I continued, and I'm confident I will continue. And so I'm very happy, and I thought, frankly, get a little nostalgic at times like these. I thought the best way to begin this travel back, this long road back, is to come and be on your show first, because you and I have known each other for so many years. And there have been times where you have been my critic. There have been times when you haven't been. But that's your job. But you've always been honest.
I try to be. And
you are.
It means a lot to us that you came here first.
Yep.
And let's talk about those votes.
Okay.
The full repeal, there were a couple of, after you made the vote to make sure it got to 50-50, that you went on to debate and amendments. There were two bills that were brought forward that were full repeal in some regard. You voted against both of those. And then when the skinny repeal vote came up, why the no votes on all three of those?
Well, first of all, on full repeal, I campaigned on repeal and replace. There was repeal, but not replace. The second reason is, of course, is that we did not have a plan. What we were going to do, and I'm sure that it gets a little arcane, but take a skinny bill, as they called it, and give it to a conference of House and Senate people with no input, no amendments, and then have them put out a product that was going to be an up or down vote in both House and Senate. Look, each one of our 50 states has different aspects of this bill. Some are Medicare, some is like ours, which is listen, our state has done a great job, thanks to our governor, thanks to our legislature. And so I wanted us to have a full-fledged debate, amendments, go through the committees. I'm happy to tell you that both Lamar Alexander, the chairman of the HELP Committee, Health, Education, Labor, and Patty Murray have announced that they're going to start hearings. That's the way we should operate. If I got an idea for an amendment, I had 3 amendments that the governor of Arizona gave me, said, I want those in this bill if I can support this bill, because Arizona was about to get screwed, if I may.
You say whatever you want.
Under this plan. And so I had proposed those 3 amendments. I was ready when we were on the floor to propose them, have a vote, have a debate. And unfortunately, they wanted to hand it over to a House and Senate, quote, conference, which was a handful of senators and House members. I wanted to go back to the regular order. And I've been involved in many issues, very tough issues, where we have the regular order. And that means a committee, amendments, debate, comes out with a floor, and more amendments, more debates. That's what the Senate is supposed to be. And they were short-circuiting that with as I mentioned to you, a, quote, skinny bill. Whatever.
Skinny repeal. I said it sounds like a drink at Starbucks. You can order a skinny repeal at the drive-thru. Yeah.
So, well, all I'm saying, look, Arizona is facing very serious problems. We've down to one health care provider. Premiums have gone up. We've got real problems. But I had no input, frankly, as to how it was going to be fixed, except to vote yes or no once it came out of the conference. So we still need to work on it. I'm glad to see, as I mentioned, that Lamar Alexander and Patty Murray, the Democrat and the Republican, have said they're going to have hearings and move forward. We can move forward, and we can fix it.
All right. One point in your statement that you made after the fact that I disagreed with. So can you stay one more second, because I want to ask you about the possibility of a bipartisan.
I can stay until 9.
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, if you'll do that.
Sure.
All right, we got one more segment. So this Senator John McCain joining us in studio. We're going to talk about the possibility of a bipartisan effort moving forward. We'll see if he believes the Democrats will actually work with the Republicans on this. We'll do that. Joining us is Senator John McCain, and it's nice to see. Obviously, you look great, and you sound like your old self. But let me ask you a question.
By the way, I brought the brains of the outfit, my daughter Megan, along with us, who I think will have some words of wisdom maybe in the next segment.
Yeah,
she's uncharacteristically shy, I might say, uncharacteristically shy.
We're going to raise the IQ level of the interview by bringing her in at the end of the next segment. So you made a statement about a bipartisan path forward, and I have maintained that I don't believe that the Democrats in the Senate or the House are going to want to give this president a victory on any level. And why do you believe that they are willing to do that?
Well, today, Patty Murray, the Democrat, and Lamar Alexander, Republican, on the HELP Committee, which is a committee of oversight, has announced they're going to start hearings as soon as we come back in September. So that's the way it should proceed. Have hearings, and hopefully they can come together with some legislation. Now, does it mean that every Democrat is going to agree? No. Does it mean that every Republican is? No, it's not going to be unanimous. But it will be, I think, a consensus bill that comes out to the floor. And that's our only shot right now, honestly.
What do you need to have in a bill? You have talked about the things you've talked to our governor about.
Protect the state of Arizona, which is one of the most successful Medicaid states. Protect them and the way that they are doing business. It's not perfect, okay? There's a lot of problems with it. But to somehow throw it in with other states that are really in a serious problem, it would be, frankly, a betrayal of some tough decisions that our governor and legislature and Democrats as well as Republicans have made to give us one of the most successful programs. But having said that, it is imploding in Arizona. There's only one provider per county. Yeah. The premiums are going up. The deductibles are going up. So we have to fix it, but we have to fix it in the right way so that I protect the state of Arizona. What does that mean? That means that Governor Ducey and I and many others and the rest of the delegation, Republican and Democrat, need to come up with a package so we can preserve what we have here in Arizona and fix the problem.
Do you believe, if you go back to the way we're doing it now, that the repeal is ever going to happen now?
I do. I do, because it's imploding. I mean, the whole system.
I brought up the fact that the exchanges, the co-ops are no longer. They've shut down. I mean, this is imploding faster than a lot of people think.
Yeah, and when you have premiums going up 100, 100, 300, whatever, all these incredible numbers, people just can't afford it. Look, Obamacare was based on the flawed premise is that you would take money from healthy young people and pay for not so healthy older people. That premise was wrong.
Right.
Because healthy younger people are going to say, why me?
Yeah.
So we need to fix it. We can fix it. We can't abandon people with pre-existing conditions. There's a whole lot of aspects of health care that we need to preserve, and we can fix it. I believe that there's no doubt in anybody's mind that we can put in the right fixes. And the best way to do that, have it in a committee. And by the way, I'm not a member of that committee. Put it through the committee, have the debate, have the amendments, put out a product, bring it to the floor, have more amendments, and then when we have the final vote, and it would carry, have it with the House, the normal way we're supposed to do business.
So then, in your experience in the Senate, how much time should we expect for that to take?
I could say that it would be that they could finish their hearings by the middle of September and then go to the floor right away.
So you think by the end of the year, for sure, that this should be done through the Senate? You can get it in conference with the House and get something to the president's desk that he'll sign.
I am confident that it can be done. Or nothing is done, and this whole system implodes. This whole flawed precept, you take money from wealthy young people and you give it to old people, older Americans, is a flawed concept to start with. And by the way, a lot of the Democrats, like Bernie Sanders and others, are now for a single payer. That is not the answer.
No.
That is not the answer.
And see, that was my fear when I said a path forward with bipartisanship. It seems like they want to be the Democrats have been obstructionists on this issue, with people like Schumer and people like Elizabeth Warren saying right away the Republican plan was going to kill people, back to the same old rhetoric. I don't know what happens to make that rhetoric die. So that's my concern.
I'm not taking the side of the Democrats, okay?
I know.
They have been obstructionists. But the fact is they have not been allowed an input into the process. See what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, I agree. But are they going to put any valuable? Right.
Now we'll find out. But they know also that the present system cannot last. So, I've gotten to know Schumer pretty well. He's tough New York, hard-nosed, partisan, but he will deal. He will deal.
We got one more segment. You can say one more segment after news. News is coming. Studio is Senator John McCain, and begrudgingly joining me, star of Fox News, is Meghan McCain. Meghan, first of all, thanks for coming in.
I don't know if my mic's on. There we go. Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me too.
I want to thank you personally. I've been bugging you, and you've been updating me on everything that's been going on with your dad, and I appreciate you doing that in the middle of everything else that's going on, keeping me updated. And how is it to be home?
I love Arizona, and I get very homesick, so it's wonderful to be home. Obviously, the circumstances aren't what I would ideally want to be home, but I think Arizona is such a beautiful state, and I think there's special healing powers in the desert, which sounds very hippy-dippy, and it's nice to be home with my family on some level.
So I don't want to get too deep into what's going on. Let you keep your personal life personal, but it's got to be difficult to deal with this kind of, this circumstance, but doing it so publicly. I mean, your family is such a name in this country and stuff. It's got to be tough to do it publicly, right?
Yeah, I mean, we are a very tough ride or die family. I mean, my father's been in public office my entire life. We ran for president several times. I'm not used to things not being very public. I just want to take a little pause and be here to support him and help him and just sort of breathe for a minute, which I've never done.
And make me eat and drink despicable subjects.
My mother and I are in charge of his diet right now, and we're just, keeping it extremely healthy.
Of all of the things that are happening right now in his life, how many times today has he complained about the diet he has to eat?
He just got to drink the green juice and, eat super healthy and get the omega acid.
Mike's in great shape. We got to send him some of that. We got to send him some of that crap.
You know what? It's Twinkies and nachos that keep me in this shape. So, it's interesting because when I said to people that you were coming in studio today, that you were coming in studio today, the overwhelming, everybody said, that guy's a badass. I'm sorry to use that language, but because in everybody's mind, this is, and you haven't made light of the treatment, that it's a serious condition. But you're back to work. You're back in your office, and even Megan had corresponded with me. I can't keep him home. You just want to work.
He keeps taking me hiking, and I'm not in the best shape ever. Putting me in shape too. I mean, that's part of it. We just keep hiking everywhere in Sedona, and this is not. I feel a whole different feeling towards people who go through things like this. I don't think you can know what this is like until you experience it, but. You're the most strong person I've ever known, and he's doing insanely well. And I'm not just giving you lip service because we're on the air, but his doctors are saying that too. And, I just am going to make him drink and eat as much spinach as possible in the meantime. And it is nice to be home. I will return to work. It's not like I'm not going to go back, but I think family is number one important and health is number one important. And I just want to be here to support him and just, talk about politics as well and everything in general. And I think we're having a good time, Dad. Oh
yeah, we have a lot of fun.
When you returned to D.C. to cast that vote, and you got the standing ovation when you took the floor, and then you made the speech after. We kind of joked a little bit about some of the statements you made about the media, but how much nostalgia was there for you? I mean, you'd been there for such a long time. Did you feel like at some point maybe you took it for granted a little bit and you had a refreshed sense of responsibility? It seemed pretty nostalgic from that speech you made.
I think that was true, but because I have been there for a long time, but all the years I've been there, I have never seen the entire Senate sit there and listen to a speech by a senator. And I had many of my colleagues say they have never seen that before. So that when I started speaking, I looked around and every seat was filled. Made me a bit, I was flattered and honored that they would all sit there and listen to what I had to say, whether they agreed or disagreed. It was very touching. And then, of course, afterwards, they all came over, Republican and Democrat. And so it was a very touching moment. And a lot of people say that in some ways it was historic. And Mike, despite what someone will tell you, I did not plan it. I did not plan that sequence of events. The reason why I came in late to vote was because Pence had dragged me into the vice president's office to listen to the president telling me to vote the other way. So, but it was very touching, very moving, and look, I am the luckiest person that you will ever have on your show, ever. And I am very aware of that. And I'm very happy. And so for a guy that stood at the bottom of his class at the Naval Academy, we've come a hell of a long way.
You always say that. So when you look back that far, when you look back at those days in the Naval Academy, and you and I have had many conversations about your time and how that as a POW, you've said the same thing about that time. I played it on my TV show recently, that interview where you talked about the tapping and those. You seem to take what would be the worst times in someone's life and talk about the good things that came out of it. How does that? How are you able to do that?
Well, part of it is your friends. You know, the camaraderie, the togetherness, the tapping on the wall, the resistance to the enemy's attempts to make you betray your country, and you know, the pride that I have that my friends and I went through very difficult times and emerged with honor. You know, our slogan was home with honor, you know, and I think we came home with honor. So I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of the heroism of the young men, 134 of them who died when the fire on the Forrestal. You know, all of these things that have happened in my life, I have been indeed fortunate. So I believe in luck, and I believe I'm lucky now. But I also believe that if tomorrow I'm not on this show or ever again, I can be so happy. I can be so proud of the life, my family, of how I've been able to serve. And yet I don't think that's going to happen. I really don't. But I got to be realistic at the same time. So we go from one day to the next. I try to keep working and serving the people of this state who have honored me, and I'm so, so grateful.
One of the things that you and I worked on together has been the problems at the VA. And you had said to me privately, you said on the show that Congress can do only so much until a president's in place that's going to get something done with removing the bad people in the VA. Nothing happens. Well, it looks as if now things are starting to happen in a positive direction. And now with the passage of the choice program again, are we on the right track with getting the VA and the care to the veterans that they deserve?
We're on the right track, and this choice thing was really important. I have the closest friends, and some of your closest friends are veterans, but the way that they opposed this was just really saddening to me, because this just gives veterans a choice. If they want to go to the VA, go to the VA. If they want to go to a civilian doctor, if they want to go, CSX now has a program where they can go 24/7 down to CSX. They got a problem, there's a medical practitioner there to help them. And yet they were so absorbed by the VA bureaucracy that they were opposed to it. But now we passed it. We're going to give it another life for another at least couple of years. We are making great strides. I believe that Dr. Shulkin is a very good head of the VA, and so I'm very encouraged. But there's finally one other thing, and you and I have talked about this before, and there's no sense in belaboring it again, but we still have way, way too high a suicide rate.
Yep, absolutely.
Too high. Today, 22 veterans will commit suicide.
And it's getting that number down is important, that they need to know that there's services available, that you don't want that permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that the country wants to embrace them and do whatever that we need to do to get them back to the happy life they deserve. So,
and I want to thank you personally for everything that you have done for veterans for many, many years. And I can't thank you enough, and I can't thank you enough for the sacrifice your family has made.
It's the biggest honor. It's the best part of the job I get to do. It's always a pleasure to see you, but it is truly an honor that you'd come on this show first. It means a lot to me personally and to my audience. And Megan, you being here means a lot. It's great to meet you face to face, and
Thanks for checking in so much. Everyone's been so wonderful, though, I have to say. Like, Arizonans are really amazing people, and they've been so warm, and so many just, local hosts and sports people, and everyone's been reaching out, and it's been really heartwarming and lovely. And I do not like the circumstances of being home, but I love Arizona so much, and it's nice to be here for a while.
All right, we'll be back in just a few moments. Senator, again, thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks for having me.